I'm here in a Texas Roadhouse parking lot trying to eat my to-go meal. They had a 40-minute wait. And Texas Roadhouse is good, y'all. Where am I going to put my phone? It's going to have to be right here. This is going to have to work. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. You know? Today was one of those bad days. It was not the best. And that's just going to have to work. It's not the best, you know? I flew down here for this half marathon tomorrow morning. And I was kind of like without a plan. I knew what I wanted to do with the costume, but it wasn't that great of a... I wanted to run a half marathon for the Super Bowl wearing a full football costume, right? Well, I was able to get the football pads, the jersey, the helmet, but I have this like overwhelming sense of like anxiety that this year is not going to pan out the way that I would like it to, because I feel like I'm relying on me and I'm not relying on God, you know? That's pretty good. Yo, I needed this for real. I mean, I want to rely on my own strength, right? I want to be capable. I want to be a man. I want to be able to support a family, right? But I think dually, I want to rely on God. And so then what? Am I going to be able to do that if I'm relying on myself? Like, what if I'm able to succeed by myself with, quote unquote, succeed? What if God gives me what I ask him for, but it's not what he wants for me? It's just what I want for me, you know? And then I live out my life thinking that I've succeeded, but it's so much less than what I could have had with him. Man, as I'm saying this, it's lifting that weight. It's like, all right, God, you've got a plan for me, you know? I can't get in the I can get in the way of that. You give me free will, but I don't want to get in the way of that, because I know that your way is so much better than mine. And I know that your burden is like, the yoke is light. I don't know, that quote in the Bible. Basically, you know, the yoke is heavy, the burden is light. I don't know, something like that, where it's like, he's right there with you, you know? You use a yoke on 2 oxen, not just one. So, yeah, he's going to take the burden. This is just a practice for me to surrender. So it's like, all right, God, you know, I'm super anxious today. I praise you for this food. I praise you for this opportunity. I know that you are the provider. I know that you will provide resources. I have faith. And in that faith, I have to be disciplined in how I spend my money. You know, buying this costume was expensive. It was $250. That's a lot of money. And then on top of that, like, for the videos not even to perform, you know, that crazily on the one hand. On the other hand, it's like they're performing so much better than when I started the 50 States Marathons the first go round. And I'm actually posting them every single week. So for those of you who don't know, I ran a marathon in all 50 states in 2024. In those first 10 marathons, that was a huge leap of faith for me, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, like just all across the board. It was a challenge so big it would only be possible with God. Well, ultimately in 2024, I was able to run a marathon in all 50 states by the grace of God, by the strength of God, by the finances of God's plan, right? Because like there's no way I could have pulled all that together. And I know the same is true about this year. So I think that what the devil's trying to do, he's trying to like take me away from this moment, especially because, you know, whether or not it was planned out, it's kind of spontaneous. Next week I'm going on a mission trip with my buddies. And yet again, I didn't have the finances for it, but I was like, all right, God, like, you know what? Am I going to miss out on this just to stay at home for a week? Like, a chance to connect with my buddies and have a memory where we're serving, you know, the mission of God out in the world, getting closer together as buddies, talking about the Lord. I mean, to get everyone in a room for 1 hour was tough. For a whole week, like, I can't miss out on that, because how much spiritual and mental development is going to happen on this week. And so maybe what the devil's trying to do is trying to give me all this overwhelming anxiety about the future and about, everything, the weight of everything, my wife and kids and like all this stuff. And God's like, hey, like, just think about this next week. You're going to go spend a week with your buddies serving me, serving the Lord, right? That's what God is saying. How cool is that? Okay. I've got the costumes for Austin. I just got to book. That's the next marathon. I just got to book a hotel, book a return flight home. I've got my buddy Tyler. He's running it with me. We're going to run the costumes together. Like, I'll set up a call with Ketone IQ. We'll lock in that sponsorship, and other companies will start reaching out as they see my videos start performing. And tomorrow morning, I have an opportunity to make a potential viral video. And I'm here eating this steak. Like, how crazy is that, The devil's going to do everything he can to make me focus on all the different things and delay, any sort of action that would get me out of it. So I was sitting there in the parking lot. Oh my gosh, I was sitting there in the parking lot. I'm going to eat this bite real quick. At Academy Sports. Because Dick's Sporting Goods doesn't carry football helmets. Y'all should carry football helmets year round. Anyways, went over to Academy. And that's good. After I got my lift in, I was staring at this helmet. I had seen it earlier in the day because I went over there to get football, shorts or pants or whatever it is, and to get, a football, stuff like that, so I can, the costume is all set for tomorrow. And I go back and my phone's running out of battery, and I'm just sitting there just for an hour. I'm just sitting there for an hour. There's my knife. And I didn't want to go inside because I'm like, I'm just trying to think, like, how am I going to pay for this? Is this smart? The video's not even going to perform, whatever it is. I wasn't even thinking. I was just, like, scrolling on Instagram. And so, like, I just had to make the decision. Okay, like, what? Yeah, I'm in a lot of debt to pull off this series again. Nothing's changed. I have no idea how the video is going to perform. Nothing's changed. Like, but all the best things have come in the past 2 years from me taking action, not from me worrying and sitting in the same spot and, trying to think, how am I going to do it? It's like, well, buddy, if you do a challenge that's so big it's only possible with God, you're not going to be able to do it alone. You're going to need God. And so maybe, I should have that expectation set. It's like, okay. When I go in and do these things, it's like, I'm not going to be able to do this alone. It's continual reliance on the Lord. That's the only way I'm going to be able to get through this. What better way to live my life? Well, what more challenging way to live my life? Like, that is really difficult, right? One and the same. To those who have, no. What's the Uncle Ben? With great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. With great resources comes great responsibility. With great whatever. I don't know what I was trying to connect there, but you get the point. It's just, if I want to take on these things that are only possible with God, well, it's only going to be possible with God. It's going to require me to rely on Him fully. It's also going to be the greatest reward, even though it is the greatest responsibility. So, yeah, I'm going to finish eating this with my broken knife. With my broken knife. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and try to make some killer videos. And then I'm going to enjoy this next week serving the Lord out in Costa Rica with my buddies. How grateful am I that, I get to take on an experience like that. And with the people closest to me. And then I'm going to go run the Austin Marathon. And, I'm just going to keep the ball rolling. right? Like, I live at home, my expenses are low, my parents love me, they completely understand the risk that I'm taking on, and they'll let me stay home if that's what it takes for me to pay off this debt. Like, everything's covered, the bases are covered. It just requires me to go take action, right? And it might be different for you. You might not have a safety net of your parents allowing you to stay at home. And so then, to you, I say, you have to rely on God, right? Because, quote unquote, I can rely on my parents when I go home, but ultimately, when it's all said and done, when I go out on these marathon weekends, I'm alone. I've got to rely on the Lord. I've got to rely on God. The same is true for you, for everyone else that you interact with, all of us. That's the thing that we all have to go back to, is like, all right, Lord, bring me closer to you through this experience. Like, humble me to my knees to the point where I'm, fully reliant on you. And that's a tough prayer to pray. But I'm going to finish this. I'm going to have a great race tomorrow morning, and a great week, and a great life. We're going to keep it rolling, boys and girls. Let's ride.